Now, I think we can all agree that the Warriors had extremely high expectations heading into this season. And I mean, of course they were going to have high expectations. I mean, they won the championship. What do you think? But this year, they have been extremely underwhelming, to say the least. And in today's video, we're going to break down why exactly the Warriors have been so mid this year. Now, real quick, before we do get started, I do want to say, hit that like button if you guys end up enjoying this, since it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get this video started. Now, real quick, I do want to say that Stephen Curry has missed a good amount of games this year. And, you know, Stephen Curry, he's by far the Warriors' best player. And when your best player, who happens to be one of the best players in the whole league, misses a good amount of games, I mean, of course your team is gonna, you know, take a big hit. And I mean, of course they're gonna be worse, and of course they're gonna be getting a whole lot less wins than they'd like to. So I'll admit, of course, Stephen Curry's injury was a big factor as to why they've been so underwhelming this year. But even with Stephen Curry, this team really was not looking that good. Now, the first reason as to why I think Golden State has been so underwhelming this year is their defense. Now, historically, they've been known to be a pretty good defense over the past few years, and of course, it's a big reason why they won so many championships. But this season, it's been, you know, quite the opposite. Their defense has been, you know, it's been one of the worst defenses in the league, when again, in previous years, it's been the best. And as I record this video, they are 19th in defensive net rating, 20th and 26th in opponent points per game. And when one of your biggest strengths becomes a weakness, of course they're going to be getting less wins. So Golden State, you got to pick up your defense if you want to turn your season around, because right now their defense, you know, the way it's been, it's just simply put unacceptable. So yeah, pretty much all I got to say about their defense. It's been really disappointing and really bad this year. Along with that, the young guys have been quite disappointing, and it's led to this team, of course, being a whole lot worse. Now, when Otto Porter and Gary Payton ended up leaving in free agency, we obviously knew those guys had a really big impact on that championship team, and we knew they were real losses. But a lot of people believe Golden State was going to be, you know, just fine even without those guys, because they had those young guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, James Wiseman, and many people expected those guys to all take leaps in 2023, but it has not been the case at all. And that's really disappointing if you are a fan of Golden State, because Jonathan and Kuminga and Moses Moody, both of those guys were lottery level talents, and they were obviously lottery picks. And I mean, they were lottery picks for a reason. Now, they redshirted their rookie seasons, you know, it makes sense as to why. But, you know, again, people expected that after redshirting their first seasons, that they would take big leaps and step up in 2023 to replace some of that depth that they lost in free agency. But again, it has not been the case. Both of those guys have been extremely underwhelming, and while they do have time to obviously turn things around and eventually become good players and valuable contributors in this league, you know, again, it's just underwhelming to see that they haven't been very good. But I mean, that's all I gotta say for Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Now, James Wiseman, my god, his career has been rough so far. I mean, he was obviously a top 2 to 3 pick in the 2020 NBA draft, and we knew that he didn't play a whole lot of games in college, but I mean, he was good in those games, but again, not a whole lot of games. So a lot of people did expect him to take some time to get acclimated to the NBA, and you know, his rookie season wasn't exactly the best. Suffers an injury, and that injury causes him to miss all of 2022, where they win the championship. And in 2023, people expect, you know, after missing all of 2022, well, to take a leap and, you know, start to become the player that the Warriors hoped that they would get that they were getting when they selected him like number 2, number 3 overall. But that has not been the case so far. This year, James Wiseman, just simply put, has not been great for the Dubs. I mean, well, they haven't really been the Dubs this year. They've been kind of mid, but they really have. He really hasn't been that good for this squad. And I gotta say, man, James Wiseman, he's starting to look like a bust, which really does suck because again, he was a top 2 to 3 pick, and the Warriors obviously hoped that he would become something when they selected him that high. And while I do think that he can become a good player in the league eventually, I gotta say, I don't know if it can be done with Golden State. Like, Golden State, they are a win-now team. Even though they've been mid this year, they are trying to win right now. So developing their young guys isn't exactly on the top of their priority list. That's more like second or third. So, yeah, James Wiseman, and when you factor in that he was a raw player coming out of Memphis, I don't know. I just feel like the Warriors really have not been the best landing spot for him. And to be honest, I think Golden State should trade James Wiseman. I think it would be beneficial for both sides. I mean, of course, the Warriors will need to find a good backup 5. But, James Wiseman, I just don't think he's really the best fit in Golden State. I think if he was traded to a team that were developing young guys was the priority, then honestly, I think he would just thrive a lot better there. So, yeah, man, James Wiseman, it's really sad to see that. But, maybe one day he can be a good NBA player. I'm just not sure if it's going to be with the Warriors. Who knows? Maybe it's with, like, the Thunder or, like, the Spurs, the Raptors. I don't know. I have no clue, but, yeah, that's all I got to say for James Wiseman. Now, besides those two factors, I do want to also add that Klay Thompson, he's obviously regressed as a player. Now, that being said, it makes sense, because he's coming off, I believe, a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, and even though modern sports medicine has obviously improved drastically since, like the 80s, 90s, even though it has improved, those are two of the most serious injuries in all of sports, and it makes sense why the guy has regressed because of those injuries. Like, of course he's playing now, but of course those injuries will affect someone if you do suffer them back to back. So and then when you also couple in the fact that he is also on the older side when it comes to athletes, again, it makes sense why Klay Thompson has regressed. It's because of those factors. That being said, though, it's not like his inconsistent play has really been helping the team at all. He has been pretty inconsistent. Some games, the guy's dropping like 40 points on great efficiency, but some games he's also making an absolute brick house, shooting like 20%. So yeah, he's just been really inconsistent, which does not help them at all. So it would be nice if he could be more consistent. Also, Jordan Poole, even though he is obviously a good player, and he is fun to watch, and he's very crafty, of course, Jordan Poole, he's been inefficient this year, so I think that's also definitely a factor as to why this team has been underwhelming. But those to me, those are the reasons why this team hasn't been living up to expectations. And I will say we still do have some time. Golden State does have some time to turn things around, but they got to turn things around extremely quick, because if they don't, it's going to be a really long season for them, and they could maybe find themselves like in a play-in spot, which they should not be in. At the bare minimum, this squad has to be in the playoffs. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, like the video if you guys enjoy, subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos, and check me out on social media. The links to them are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.